What is up, everyone, and welcome to another special edition of The Danny Show. I'm your host, Daniel Cody, giving you commentary and reviews on all things wrestling. Before I get started with this, I would like to send a special shout out to Jalen Anderson and Jazzy P01, the new subscribers who have came to my attention. Thank you guys so much for joining. Now, that being said, we have a special one as we prepare for a weekend in Toronto, including tonight's Friday Night SmackDown. I would like to come here to give you a very special review on some of my favorite matches that have taken place in Toronto, Ontario, Canada through the years in WWE. Let's get started. At number 10, we have Hulk Hogan versus The Rock at WrestleMania 18. 2002. I was 8 years old when this happened, and I had the pleasure of seeing this because someone was watching it on pay-per-view. And I was one of the 40% fans who were voting for The Rock to win. Because ironically, though Hogan was supposed to be the returning heel and the poison of WWE, the fans in Toronto really gravitated towards Hogan. And nonetheless, The Rock had to fight half the people and Hogan to not only win this match, but earn Hulk Hogan's respect, and they would show sportsmanship. The NWO's Hall and Nash tried to ruin the moment, but The Rock and Hogan stood tall after having a very instant classic with each other at WrestleMania 18. Next on this list, at number 9, we have Trish Stratus versus Lita at Unforgiven 2006, as Trish Stratus' last match, as so we thought, for the WWE Women's Championship. And what a better way to go out than against one of your greatest foes, a woman that has pulled the best matches out of Trish, Lita herself. And what a better way to win a match in Toronto and win your last match in your hometown for the Women's Championship than to use Canada's favorite submission hold, the sharpshooter. That's how Trish won it, and that's how Trish won what we thought was her last match. Everyone gave her a lot of respect and a standing ovation. Jerry Lawler and Lillian Garcia, Jim Ross included. Lillian was very emotional. However, this was a great match for her to go out. We thought she would retire, but she would come back again to face Charlotte Flair at SummerSlam 2019. However, this match, great match for Trish. Back to Hulk Hogan. At number 8, we have Hulk Hogan versus the Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania 6, 1990, and WWE's first international event in Toronto, Canada. Now, fun fact, Edge was watching live from what's it called? From Toronto Sky Dome as to support Hulk Hogan. And fun fact, this was a main event match where both men were fan favorites, both men were muscular gladiators, and both men were champions. Hulk Hogan being the WWE champion and Ultimate Warrior being the Intercontinental champion. And in this great match, it would be the Ultimate Warrior who would win and unify the WWE and Intercontinental championships. Hulk Hogan would show respect to the Ultimate Warrior before giving the ring over to him for him to celebrate his win. Next, at number 7, we have a 2 out of 3 instant classic between Adam Cole and Johnny Gargano. These two men had 3 of the best matches in 2019 at NXT TakeOver main events. This was the rubber match, being that Gargano won the first one to get the the NXT Championship that was vacated by Tommaso Ciampa after a broken neck. The second match at NXT TakeOver 25 in Connecticut, Adam Cole would win. Then this would be the rubber match, 3 Stages of Hell, which would end in a steel cage match, an extreme steel cage match, where Adam Cole would win after both men went off the top of the cage onto tables. Fans were chanting, "Please don't die." Thankfully, no one died, but Adam Cole would win this one and retain his NXT championship. Fun fact, today is Adam Cole's birthday, and if you haven't seen it, be sure to check out my review on my top 10 favorite Adam Cole matches. That video is already up. Be sure to check that out. Next on this list, another NXT classic. We have at number 6, DIY versus Revival, now known as FTR and AEW, in a classic 2 out of 3 falls tag team match at NXT Toronto 2016. Revival scored 1, DIY scored 2 more falls. The second fall would be the highlight of the match after so many amazing close calls. The highlight of this match would be the end, as DIY's Ciampa and Gargano would make both members of Revival tap out at the same time to win the final fall and win the NXT Tag Team Championships, as Revival were the actual champions at the time. And DIY walked out as champions. 24 hours later, at number 5, we have, at Survivor Series 2016, we have Team SmackDown versus Team Raw for bragging rights, which would become a tradition of SummerSlam before Triple H took over and made it War Games. Now, in this match, we had SmackDown, which consisted of Shane McMahon, Dean Ambrose, AJ Styles, Randy Orton, and the late great Bray Wyatt, God rest his soul, versus Braun Strowman, Seth and Roman, Kevin Owens, WWE Universal Champion, and Chris Jericho. Fun fact, AJ Styles was SmackDown's champion. In this match, because Roman and Seth were Raw guys and Dean Ambrose was a SmackDown guy, after Dean was eliminated, we saw Dean align himself with Roman and Seth from Raw to take out AJ Styles with a triple powerbomb, as JBL completely lost his cool. Then we saw Shane McMahon get taken out after Roman Reigns caught him with a spear on the outside. Fans thought Roman Reigns were sleeping that night for whatever reason. In the end, it was Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt, the last two standing, against the remaining member of Raw, you guessed it, the Tribal Chief himself. And Bray and Randy would actually win. God rest the soul of Bray Wyatt. Can't believe he's gone. Next, at number 4, we have Seth Rollins versus Brock Lesnar. Or should I say, Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam 2019. Now, just a month after Brock Lesnar had cashed in his Money in the Bank contract, a Money in the Bank contract that he won, sneaking in at the end, by the way, but a month after Brock Lesnar had cashed in, we got our rematch at SummerSlam 2019. Seth had been injured, had injured ribs. He had been taken to Suplex City in this match, had to survive an F5, and despite all of that with injured ribs, he still came back to do a frog splash from the top of the ring ropes onto the announce table, and it took more than one curve stomp to keep the beast down and for Seth to regain the WWE Universal Championship. And finally, Royal Raw with a vengeance, ending the main event with Seth Rollins being the winner. Fun fact, earlier that night, we ended it with Seth Rollins, but we started it with Seth Rollins' wife, Becky Lynch, defeating Natalya in another great match for the Women's Championship. That can be an honorary mention. Next on this list at number 3, we have Edge versus Sheamus in Edge's last match on Friday Night SmackDown. August the 18th of 2023, I had a pleasure of watching and reviewing this match. It was, like I said, Edge's last match before going to AEW, and what a way to go out than with Sheamus. Sheamus brought the Celtic Cross. It wasn't enough. And it took not one, but two spears to take down Sheamus and for Edge to win. And much like some of the other moments that on this countdown, Edge and Sheamus showed sportsmanship in the end. And this would be Edge's last match on SmackDown and in WWE before going to get Christian, who for some reason loves talking about dead dads. Not deadbeat dads like Simp19 Dom. Next, at number 2, we have a match that WWE will never mention, but I will. This match was SummerSlam 2004, Randy Orton versus Chris Benoit, and an absolute SummerSlam technical classic. And it would be a match that, though Randy was heel, fans gravitated to Randy Orton that night. And when Randy Orton delivered the RKO, which came literally out of nowhere, as always, 1, 2, 3, Randy Orton would become the youngest World Heavyweight Champion that night. Unfortunately, while he will be acknowledged for being the World Heavyweight Champion, the youngest World Champion, his opponent will be treated like John Cena himself, except we can say the name John Cena, but we can't say the name Chris Benoit due to certain circumstances that took place in 2007. However, it must be noted that the match between Randy Orton and Chris Benoit for the World Championship at SummerSlam 04 was great. And again, more sportsmanship as Chris Benoit extended his hand in respect to Randy Orton, and Randy Orton chose to shake hands and show respect. Next on this match, there was no sportsmanship in this match because at number 1, we have two bitter rivals, Edge versus John Cena, at WWE Unforgiven in a TLC match at Edge's hometown of Toronto. Before we review number 1, let me just say another great match that took place that night was a handicap tag team Hell in a Cell match. And Hell in a Cell is not a funny event. But what happened at this event was so satisfying, as Vince McMahon was made to kiss the Big Show's butt. And the fact that it happened to Vince McMahon going up someone's backside was so satisfying. It was the most hilarious, but now considering all the bad that Vince has done, this is so satisfying. Now, let's get into this number 1 match with Cena versus Edge for the WWE Championship TLC match. The fans were mostly behind Edge because it was Edge's domain. However, there were a couple of Cena fans in the arena that night. And in the highlight of this match would be John Cena going for what is now called the Attitude Adjustment, sending Edge off the top of the ladder through 2 tables as Jim Ross called for Jesus Almighty, and the highlight of that match as John Cena would win the WWE Championship back from Edge, payback for Cena being cheated in his hometown of Boston at SummerSlam. But that does it for this list. Let me know in the comment section below, what was your all-time favorite match from WWE in Toronto? I'm your host, Aaron Cody, and I will see you with another review on all things wrestling. Have a great night, everyone.